Okay, Supervisor Archie has mentioned several times that Tony Johnson is a convicted felon. We all know that. It's been spread throughout the media and published in public records. But she's still a free citizen. She has a right to work. You asked Supervisor Archie for specifics, and he's saying because the numbers are so different that must mean that there must be some fraud. On the other side of that coin, it could mean, without looking at the ballot, that the voters went into the polls, and this time they did not choose Supervisor Archie as they did in the past. Now, this is not Supervisor Archie's first time mentioning that there were voter irregularities when he lost an election. And the way to prove fraud in voter election cases is, first of all, let's go review the ballots. There has been no ballot review. Now, I have supported Supervisor Archie, but Supervisor Archie cannot place his loss on Tony Johnson. Tony Johnson can't even vote. Tony Johnson, I dare him to show y'all one ballot that Tony Johnson has touched. Show us one machine that Tony Johnson has touched. She has touched none. So if a voter went in and they voted, as David said, for somebody who was not known, that is their right as American citizens to vote for the person of their choice. And this time, it happened not to be David Archie. Now, if David Archie had won the election, we would not be on this sidewalk. We would have been at a party on Tuesday night celebrating his win. Now, you win some and you lose some. And we want the Attorney General to investigate. We want the DA's office to investigate. We invite the Justice Department and the FBI to investigate. Because at the end of the day, there is not going to be any proof that Tony Johnson has engaged with anyone to manipulate a voting machine. None whatsoever. As David mentioned, Tony Johnson has an ankle bracelet on. She's been wearing her ankle bracelet since she was commanded to. Now, this DA's office that he's talking about, it took me calling to them to get the other people convicted with her to put on that same ankle bracelet that she is required to wear. So she's been a target. But look, she did what she did. She accepted responsibility for what she did, but she has not manipulated any machine, hadn't engaged in any sort of voter fraud. Now, bring us some specifics. Bring us some people who have sworn under oath. Now, this young lady right here, she's a loser too.
Ms. Walker.
Ms. Walker. Ms. Walker. Thank you, Ms. Walker. She lost back in 2021. And do y'all believe that after 2021, with her saying she was calling the Attorney General's office and speaking to someone every day about Tony Johnson, if the AG's office had something on Tony Johnson, you know what would have happened? She would have been marched in this courtroom like she was in this courthouse right behind us, like she was before. And she would have been brought to justice. She has not been because nothing has happened. She's a sore loser. And she wants to, okay, now it's my time to get my payback. I'm going to get Tony Johnson. Well, what has Tony done? Tony, the county, Hinds County, where David Archie sits on the board of supervisor, they contract with ES&S, or whoever this company is. Tony Johnson has no authority to contract with these folks. Y'all remember when Tony Johnson went to the CBC and David Archie and his people tried to get Judge Dickerson to arrest her? Yeah, no, she didn't go to jail. And she out and she free today. But look, that's all right. And a lot of your friends do too. Okay? There's plenty of people with ankle monitors on. When you pay your debt and you accept responsibility for your action, that's what the American justice system requires of you. You don't have to be a slave to nobody. Not David Archie, nobody on the Hinds County Board of Supervisors. She still is free. She's a free woman. She has a right to work as David Archie. But getting back to the ankle monitor, they said, oh, she got an ankle monitor on. Baby, people got plenty of ankle monitors in Hinds County. Y'all do business with an ankle monitor company. Supervisor Archie, the Hinds County Board of Supervisors does. But that ankle monitor is gonna ping her, right? Let it ping her with ES&S. David and them, they had the pings before. When she was up in D.C., and guess what it showed her? She wasn't doing nothing wrong. She was obeying the law. But they did not want Tony Johnson to go anywhere. In fact, in the last few weeks, Tony Johnson has been called by MDOC because people have been calling, saying, oh, well, why Tony Johnson is all over the place, saying the same thing Mr. Archie said. But guess what? They gave Tony Johnson a list of restrictions that she is to follow. She's been following those restrictions. I wish David Archie well. You know, the statute in Mississippi provides a process for candidates like David Archie. If you believe something untoward has happened in your election, the proper place is to file an election challenge, and let's go in here and watch the ballots. But under the laws of Mississippi, I don't think that Tony Johnson could even be a party to that. It would be the candidate, Tony Smith. Now, pick your bone with Mr. Smith. Tony Johnson has a right to work, just like every other American citizen. And she doesn't have to be on your side. You can go, and there are other election commissioners who work in municipal elections. The municipality doesn't hire them. Candidates can hire them. I haven't seen any statute in Mississippi that criminalizes candidates from hiring who they want. You could hire somebody on death row if they can get the job done for you. Okay, there's no statute that says that a person who's convicted of a felony cannot work. It says you can't vote. And Tony Johnson didn't vote, but a lot of other people did. And I hope if it's some election fraud that has occurred, I hope that Mr. Archie can make good on his word, that he can show it to the public, and that it can be addressed, because we believe in voter integrity. And there are too many folks who have given their lives for us to have a right to vote, for people to make baseless allegations of voter fraud. I've been involved in voter fraud cases, and you know where we fought it out at? In the courthouse, not on the sidewalk. But when you come on the sidewalk, nobody is running. I'm going to come to the sidewalk too, and I'm going to defend her, because I know that Tony Johnson has not engaged in any voter manipulation of a machine. A machine that the county of Hinds has been contracting with this company to provide the machines. Tony doesn't sign anything on that. They got rid of Tony, remember? They moved her out the day she played. She gave her keys and everything back. They called the woman computers, well, your computers in the building. She didn't take anything that didn't belong to her. I'm not gonna let David Archie put that on Tony Johnson now. David Archie needs to go in this courthouse while he's skipping the process and going to the DA's office, because the DA's office, yeah, he can investigate voter fraud. But you know what? He needs to come look at the when they review the ballots, when they review the tapes from the machines. Show me Tony Johnson's fingerprint on that. Show me her touching that machine. Show me that ankle monitor pinging near the machines. No. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And when David is right, I'll stand with David. But for David to come out here and say he putting out allegations, no, that's not how you do a dog. You got some allegations, swear them out. Go to court. Prove your case. If you lost, you lost. And I was hoping for David. You know what? I'm like David. I listened to him last night. I was surprised too by the number of votes, by the wide margin. But you know what? I know that people can turn on you. People will tell you they for you, and you know what they'll go in that poll and do? They'll vote for your opponent. And I believe that's what happened here today. I believe that's what happened in Hines County.
Ross, can you talk about the whereabouts of Tony Johnson on Election Day? Do you know her movement?
Yeah, well, she was in Hines County, yes. Yes, she was in Hines County.
Was she moving from precinct to precinct?
I don't know that she was moving from precinct to precinct, but she was out on Election Day. There's nothing. When you get privately hired, she has a right to work. So to do her job, she may have to move. But did she touch a ballot? Did she vote absentee ballot for anybody? No. No, she did not. And I'm not going to stand by as a black woman especially and let him misalign her. And I'll stand against anybody who come up here. Where are the facts? This lady says she's been talking to the Attorney General office for 21, since 2021. Miss Walker, Miss Johnson, whoever. She's been talking to the Attorney General's office for 21 months. And then today when y'all asked to show me the facts, oh, it's on my phone. I'll have to get it for you. Oh, well, we're not gonna let her show her phone. We got to take it to the AG's office. Well, you know what? The proper way to do it is to take it to the AG's office. Let the AG office come for Tony Johnson. Let DA Jody Owens come for Tony Johnson. Let Darren LaMarca, the U.S. Attorney, come for Tony Johnson. Let DOJ come for Tony Johnson. But guess what? They not coming because Tony Johnson didn't do anything but work. And in this instance, she worked for a man who happened to be David Archie. Then I'll take any questions.
All right. So you finished, Ms. Johnson?
I am. Thank you very much. And y'all got my number if y'all need any additional questions. Thank you.
So let me tell y'all this. You see how I was very respectful. So what we did was being very respectful. We gave Tony Johnson, attorney, an opportunity to speak. If you can remember, that was the same argument that Ms. Ross made for Tony Johnson when she took her to this courtroom here and she pleaded guilty to those charges. If you can remember, I'm the one that brought it before the people on the last occasion. She didn't say anything about that when it first got started at the Hines County Election Commission. We got a conviction because we was on the right side of justice. And we didn't know anything about the other people, but we got Tony Johnson and some others. The same thing is going to happen in this case. She wants us to provide you with information so it can dilute the investigation. That is not the proper way to do it. We're going to put the proper information into the investigator's hand, and then they can provide it to you when they chooses to. You can follow us to the district attorney's office. I'm going to get to your question here, Ross, in a moment. That's where we're going. And when we leave there, we go into the Attorney General's office. And when we leave there, we go into the Secretary of State office. Get in your cars, get in your vehicle, travel with us so we can make absolutely sure that you know that this is no play and this is no joke. Mega died to give the right opportunity for everybody. He did not die for the cheat. He did not die for the steal. He died for things being done right. We're going to hold ES and S accountable for having that relationship with Tony Johnson in 5 different cases, y'all. This is it's something going on here. You're gonna see the evidence of it. Every candidate won on the behalf of SNS and Tony Johnson, even when she turned against the mayor in Yazoo City. Those are the facts. The next thing I want to tell you is this. I know it's hard to not see the unseen. I know it's hard to believe what I'm telling you. But anybody that knows Hinds County District 2 understand that something happened and something went wrong, but nobody knows what it was until Miss Walker brought it and laid it in the lap of David L. Archie, and that's how we began to move forward. Yes, sir.
So if you want the public to believe the claims you're making today, why not produce the evidence?
We will.
No, produce it now.
I said we will.
Produce it now.
We will. We're going to produce it through the district attorney's office. Let me finish. You're asking a question.
When they investigate a case, they don't produce the evidence immediately. You need to show us the evidence you're taking to the AG, the DA, the Secretary of State's office. Show us that evidence.
Now, are you finished? You asked a question. Now give me an opportunity to answer. You're not going to be able to get me to do that. There's no need in you asking the question.
So why should the public believe you if you're not going to show the evidence to back up your claims?
We're going to take it to the district attorney's office. We're going to take it to the attorney general's office. We're going to take it to the Secretary of State office and the Justice Department. This is bigger than an ordinary citizen. We don't quite know how to deal with this matter, but we're not going to give anybody the evidence but the officials that can bring these charges against Tony Johnson and ES&S. We alleging that they are the ones that have committed fraud and corruption. Not only that, we feel like it is a heist of this election. We calling it. Can you run this across the news screen? We calling it a high-tech election heist. A high-tech election heist, full of fraud and full of corruption. And guess what? They couldn't have picked a better guy to do it to. They picked David Archie to do it to. And that was the mistake that they made. A criminal always make a mistake. And when they make that mistake, you seize the opportunity to bring them before the people and to bring them to justice. And that is what we're doing. Any further questions?